Hello, everyone. Today is National Truth and Reconciliation Day. These are the diverse Indigenous groups across Canada. Including First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. This year's theme for National Truth and Reconciliation Day, we're focusing on remembering the children. So please come join us in remembering the children who are no longer with us, and we can pay tribute to the survivors that are still with us, and all of their families too. This is a time for learning and commemorating the truth about our history from First Nations, Métis, and Inuit knowledge keepers. This is an important step towards reconciliation and acknowledging the trauma that was caused in this part of history and learning from it. Back in May 2021, 215 unmarked graves were found at the Kamloops Indian Residential School. This is still a very fresh wound, since this was only 2 years ago. That was very tough to deal with. Indigenous peoples across our territories have prepared our hearts and minds for this National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, September 30th. And this September 30th is not just a holiday or a day off of work, simply put. It's about doing your homework. For example, you could attend a workshop somewhere, virtually or in person. You could read a book. You could listen and learn the stories of the Native people. You could start conversations within your own community, your family, friends, and colleagues at work about what Orange Shirt Day is about and what truth and reconciliation means to you. For us, truth and reconciliation is remembering and reflecting what was stolen from us. Yet we are still here, resilient, still standing and rising. See this photo here on the top? It's a very famous icon from the Oka crisis. The painting depicts a famous photo of a Canadian Armed Forces soldier and a Mohawk protester facing each other and staring. Looking at this painting gives me goosebumps. The second photo at the bottom is the Wet'suwet'en land defense protest against the oil and natural gas companies putting a pipeline through the unceded territory. There was a lot of fighting and arguing over this issue and has been an ongoing struggle. The protest happened in 2021. These photos are just two examples of our history of oppression, but there are countless other stories. There are native deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing people. And between all of this, we have all experienced deprivation in 3 different ways. Language deprivation, identity deprivation, and cultural deprivation. All 3 of those. The ramifications on that population of people who identify as First Nations, Inuit, or Métis were enormous. These are very vulnerable people, and the impact is huge. I will explain this in the next slide. And here is a list of the issues that we face. Mental health, general health, lack or limited access to mainstream services, intergenerational trauma, and lack of socializing in community and family. Those are the biggest challenges we face. So now on the next slide, so this is another barrier that we face on this slide. Take a moment to look at this map. There are multiple challenges with this geographic diversity and can heavily influence how deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing can access general services. For example, the Inuit people that live in the far north, remote parts of Canada, they have to fly into neighboring provinces to access some of their needs. There is a lack of access to reliable transportation for these communities, and this can apply to First Nation and Métis communities as well. So some deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing individuals struggle to socialize in their communities because of a lack of transportation. So they must rely on bus, cab, friends or family driving them, walk, or bike. And some folks that live in rural areas cannot attend events due to far distances, and they live several hours drive away from an event. Or another reason, they may not be able to afford to go. Or even simply not able to walk or drive to an event because they don't have a car, or they possibly have mobility issues and use a walker or a wheelchair. This is a huge barrier. Another issue that has been ongoing that impacts deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing Indigenous folks and needs to stop is this photo here. Sweeping the truth under the rug. It needs to stop. Every deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing person that identifies as Indigenous, their mental health and general health has suffered and endured through enough. We've experienced language barriers, cultural deprivation, language deprivation, and lack of cultural knowledge, and many more. So how can we change this? They need to include us. Accept us for who we are. Treat us as equal with respect. And we need to make sure we are helping others be included in the general deaf community as well. Now onto this next slide. You can see this photo here. It's about healing. So first, to heal a nation, it must start with the individuals or yourself, the families, and the communities. That will help reignite the spark inside of us that keeps us strong. Now you're wondering how you can help us? Talk to your friends, family, colleagues at work about this day. Invite us out to your events. Connect with your local First Nations, Métis, and Inuit groups on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Just contact in general, like email and text. If you're attending an event, say, hey, there's an event, come on out. You could offer a ride to someone who cannot drive. Help by giving some gas money to someone that has to drive in from a remote location. There are many ideas that could help us be included and to get deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing Indigenous people to your events. If you're hosting a workshop, Zoom is very helpful for people to connect from remote areas. Understandably, not every event will have good Wi-Fi connection, but every little bit helps to improving access. Access for all is a goal that benefits everyone. Thank you.